Good evening and welcome to the Sarasota County Charter Review Board Candidate Forum. I'm Vilya Johnson, First Vice President of the Sarasota County League of Women Voters. I'd like to thank Forum Chair Liz Barber and her team of volunteers who made these forums possible. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that encourages active participation in government. The views expressed are those of the candidates, not the League. The forum is not an endorsement of any candidate, and the League does not support or oppose candidates or political parties. All candidates who will appear on the November 5th ballot have been invited to participate in this forum. Not all chose to participate. Please note that all registered Sarasota County voters can vote for all 4 of the district races that we're discussing tonight. The guidelines for this evening's forum are: candidates will have 1.5 minutes to reply to questions and make their opening and concluding remarks. All questions will be asked of all candidates. The order in which the candidates are asked the questions will rotate with each question. Candidates are requested to answer the question that is asked, and there is no time given for rebuttal. Candidates may discuss their opponent's policy positions but may not make personal remarks regarding other candidates. Our timer will ring a bell once when there's 20 seconds left in the time to answer and twice when the time is up. League guidelines prohibit any recording of this forum. The League is recording the forum, which will be posted on our website and YouTube channel for your viewing. Our guidelines prohibit anyone from using any part of this recording for any purpose. All candidates here tonight have agreed to these rules. And now I will introduce our candidates by district. In District 1, we have Julie Forrester, Democrat, and Jay Riley, Republican. In District 4, we have Greg Tex Bukowski, Republican, and Robin Williams, Democrat. In District 5, we have Nancy Chechi, Democrat, and Jose Jimenez, Republican. And now we will start with our first question. The first question: please introduce yourself, describe your education and experience related to this position, and explain why you're the best candidate for the position. And we will start with Julie Forrester.
Thank you. So professionally, I'm a community organizer. I've been a community organizer for about 20 years, and I've worked on a variety of sustainability and conservation initiatives, as well as civic engagement and youth empowerment initiatives. Doing this work has enabled me to empower people and communities who have traditionally been excluded from decision-making processes. My work experience, I believe, is especially relevant to what's happening in Sarasota County currently, in which residents are being excluded from the decision-making processes that affect our lives because developers are effectively silencing us. Doing this work has taught me how to be solutions-oriented and how to work across partisan lines to create effective solutions. Beyond that, I'm a master's in public policy degree recipient from the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. And as such, I have not just the experience working to create change, but also the educational background to understand how these policy changes will impact our community. I'm the best candidate for this position because of my professional and educational experience, and I will work to ensure the county charter does what it was created to do, which is to empower Sarasota County residents to have more control over local governance. I also want to point out that while I don't know my opponent, I know he was appointed by Governor DeSantis, and the DeSantis administration has pushed for so many bills that erode our ability to protect ourselves by preempting what we can do at the county level. I'm the best candidate because I'm not part of the existing power structures and will work to represent average Sarasota citizens,
Time is up.
which I am one.
Thank you. Mr. Riley.
Well, thank you very much and good evening. And I want to thank the League of Women Voters for taking time. I do events and programming for a living, so I know much goes into it, especially when you have some adverse weather changes and you have to change things around. And also a pleasure to meet all the fellow candidates. I think I've only met, Tex is the only one I've met so far, I believe. So pleasure meeting you all. First and foremost, I'm a proud husband and father of two amazing women. One is my wife. She's a lieutenant firefighter paramedic here in the county, and my daughter is a senior. Yes, I'm old, in high school and going on to college here shortly. Myself, I've been here come December 30 years in the community. I was actually born in Canada, raised in New Jersey, went to college in Pennsylvania, attended Mansfield University, and moved here in December of '94. Since moving here out of college, I've been engaged with the community, serving on boards of nonprofit, civic, and business organizations. And currently, I'm the Senior Director of Special Projects and External Affairs for University of South Florida. And I've worked in agricultural business, I've worked in sports, and I've also worked in hospitality and tourism. Thank you.
Thank you. And now on to District 4, Mr. Bukowski.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Greg Tex Bukowski, District 4. And I got the nickname Tex because I moved to Sarasota from Texas almost 9 years ago. Education, I did undergrad work at Northwestern University in Evanston, and I got Evanston, Illinois, and then I got an MBA from USC in Los Angeles. And I think I have a lot of relevant experience because I'm a small business owner. I own an ice cream shop on Longboat Key. I own a restaurant in downtown Sarasota. And so I'm very involved in small business. I'm also very involved in my church and, of course, my political party. And I'm an avid tennis player. So I feel like I've gotten a great feel for this community over the last going on 10 years now. And it's an honor to be here. I'm excited to answer questions and get involved even further in the political process. So thank you guys, and I'll cede the rest of my time.
Okay. And Ms. Williams.
Hi, I'm Robin Williams. I have a bachelor's from SUNY Buffalo, a master's from Temple University. I'm a retired high school teacher and instructor in biology and environmental science. I'm a lifelong community advocate, served on the legislative committee of the New Jersey PTA. I've been involved as a volunteer in lobbying efforts, have spoken publicly at hearings in Tallahassee, Sarasota School Board, County Commission, New College, and Sarasota Memorial Hospital boards. I started the Democratic Public Education Caucus of Minnesota. I'm a life member of the NEA Retired and served as a union representative and on the boards of various organizations. I've analyzed, tracked legislation, written resolutions, op-eds, letters to the editor on a variety of issues in the public interest. While living in New Jersey, I helped spearhead an effort that successfully stopped the construction of a big box store in an environmentally sensitive area. In Sarasota County, our precious water resources face many challenges from overdevelopment, phosphate mining industry, big sugar, and climate change. We've witnessed the recent flooding disasters exacerbated by overdevelopment and inadequate infrastructure in the face of global warming. I've learned that the existing charter is more restrictive than initially intended. Our 1971 charter started with the intent of empowering the voters of Sarasota to make changes in their own government and to dispense with the involvement of the state legislature in local matters. We need to re-empower our citizens and make it easier once again to make changes in our local government.
Thank you. Moving on to District 5, Ms. Chechi.
Good evening, everybody. My educational background is I'm a retired registered nurse. I have a diploma from the Presbyterian University of Pennsylvania Medical Center School of Nursing in Philadelphia, and I later went on to get a Bachelor of Science in Nursing from Thomas Edison State University. I did become very active in local politics when I moved to Florida 7 years ago. I'm the vice president of the Northport Democratic Club, and I did serve for 2 terms on the City of Northport Citizens Tax committee. And it's an honor to do things for the community. I've been very active in other organizations that have a charitable background and focus. And I feel like I can speak for the average Sarasota community resident when it comes to what's happening in the community and the kinds of things that would enable it to be a lot better place for all of us to live.
Thank you. Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, Vilya and Sean and Liz, appreciate it. Thank all of your audience for being here as well tonight, taking time from their kind of busy schedules to spend time with us. It's good to see them really getting engaged. Been living in Sarasota County for a little over 3.5 years with my wife, and my daughter and son-in-law and grandkids came down here, and I got my 2 boys that also joined us a couple of years later. And just absolutely love it. We don't want Sarasota to become the next Orlando or Miami or Fort Lauderdale. And that's one of the reasons we're fighting to really keep it the same. It's a great jewel that we have here. With the charter, we have a great opportunity. We're one of 20 counties out of 67 that has a charter. It's time for us to get more involved. Some of the things that I've seen in the last couple of meetings, unfortunately, we've not been as aggressive, have not been as involved in doing some of the things that we need to do to help our voters. By way of education, I am a practicing attorney. I am licensed out of Minnesota, but I live in Florida. I have an engineering degree from Northwestern University. I also have an MBA from Northwestern University and a law degree from John Marshall Law School in Chicago. I represent 3 nonprofits as well as being a patent attorney. So I get a chance to work with a lot of the nonprofits in their process of their goals and trying to help the community as well. I'm hoping that being here, that my understanding of the legislative process, reading the law, will help the board be able to get through this process faster and empower the citizens like they should be. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to move to the second question. I have been informed that William Brad Hardin, the Democrat running in District 3, will be joining us, but we're going to go ahead and move on to the second question and just add him to the rotation as we do. Question 2, how would you explain the purpose of the Charter Review Board to your constituents? And we will begin with Mr. Riley.
Thank you. That has been an amazing question. I had asked that myself when my neighbor told me that he was running for it. Primarily, and someone mentioned it earlier, was founded in 1971. And there are just 20 counties, as Jose had mentioned, that have it. I think this is the only charter review board that actually is up for election. Everyone else, I believe, is appointed in different counties. The charter itself is like the Constitution. And if anyone wants to change the charter, they have to come and present to the Charter Review Board. You know we are what we are. We're not the Planning Commission. We're not the County Commission. But whether it be special interest groups, whether it be individual citizens that want to change the charter, then our job is to work with those citizens to put their request forward for the Charter Review Board.
Thank you.
I see my time. Thanks.
And Ms. Forrester.
Yes, so I agree that the Sarasota County Charter is essentially like the Constitution of Sarasota County, and it was created to empower the county to have greater autonomy and to better be able to serve the needs of its residents. And that is why I believe it's really important for it was essentially designed to make it a living document that can respond to the needs of county residents. And that's why I believe it's really important, given my background in community organizing, to be able to, work with the community to identify what their needs are and to, work to adapt the charter to county needs and residents' needs. And that's all I got.
Thank you. William Brad Hardin is joining us. He's from District 3, the Democrat running in District 3. Mr. Hardin, I will repeat the question. We're on question 2. You are muted right now, but I will repeat the question if you want to jump right into the rotation here. The question is, how would you explain the purpose of the Charter Review Board to your constituents? And you are muted right at the moment.
Sorry, I don't seem to have my video working for me. I don't know what's wrong. Sorry, I'll try to get it fixed.
Okay. Are you prepared to answer the question? Okay, we will move on. District 4, Ms. Williams.
So I guess being a teacher, I also like to do my homework, and it's been a real education to learn more about our charter, because when I read the charter now multiple times, I could not find what the original charter looked like. I just kept finding things where it said amended and when, but I could not find the actual what it was amended from. And I looked and looked all over online, could not find it. So I made some phone calls to people from the commissioner's, the county office and the clerk. And finally, after some weeks, got sent previous charters. And it really was an eye-opener to me, because the original charter, which was in 1971, was very, very different from the way the current charter looks today. And let me just give you I think the most telling part was the original very beginning, the intent, Article 1, intent of the voters, the people of Sarasota County, Florida, in order to dispense with the involvement of the state legislature in local matters, and in order to empower the people of this county to make changes in their own government, do hereby avail themselves of the opportunity afforded by the Florida Constitution to adopt a home rule charter. Very different than today.
Okay, Mr. Pukowski.
That's really interesting, Robin. Thank you for sharing that. When people ask me what is the charter, I tell them it's essentially the Constitution of the county. It's a living document. It changes with the times as needed, and as the Charter Review Board watches over that charter, that Constitution, and protects it. That's how I view it. And basically it's another layer of people watching over the county to make sure that the county stays the wonderful place that it is. But I do believe that it can be changed, and it should be changed as needed. I just think that the changes should not be easy, and they should be supported by many, many people. So that's what I tell people about the charter, a living, changing document, much like the Constitution of the United States.
Thank you. Mr. Hardin, are you prepared to address the question? Okay, well, we'll proceed with Mr. Jimenez.
Oh, thank you, Vilia. And Robin, good job on your comments. One of the things that I find when I talk to people about the charter, it is, as everyone said, like the mini constitution, but people struggle to figure out where it fits with respect to state and county and federal, even federal law. And where I can help and sort of explain to people what we're doing here. One of the things that Robin pointed out, which is really good, is that we've ceded a lot of our power in the last 20 years to the county and to the state. There's a lot of gaps that are there in the current charter that we're not exploring. And a lot of people tell a lot of the people that are on the board, oh no, that's been preempted by state law. Oh no, that's the area of the county commission. No, there is an opportunity for us to do something there. And like Tech said, we shouldn't do it too quickly, but we should also not do it at all. One area was 7.1 that should never have been changed. That's actually made it harder for the Charter Review Board to do its work. And I think that has to be basically pulled back out. And I think we have the power to do that. So let's take the power, because once the government gets the power, they will not give it back. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Chechi.
I also explain it as the Constitution, or the way the county is run. And I've had a lot of experience trying to explain it to the citizens that I've spoken with, because the most common question is, well, what is it? I never heard of it before. So there is a big education gap in there with the public. And Robin Williams has been my mentor when it came to trying to dig deeper into the history of the charter. And I got a lot of questions about how it was amended over the years. And that's difficult to find out. Those records are in there, but they're not easy for people to find. And I think it's important for people to understand that the intention of that charter was to protect the people, protect the environment, protect the city, the businesses, and so forth. And it hasn't really turned out that way because of those amendments. Many of them changed things enough that we now have problems with traffic and flooding, and we don't have enough. Oh, sorry, my time is up.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Harden, I see that you're unmuted. Are you prepared to answer the question?
Yes, thank you. Well, I've benefited by hearing all these other people talk, and I think that they have very good ideas, and I don't disagree with anything I've heard. And I think that, yes, we are a second level, another layer to try to ensure that the people here in the county are treated and served well, where we're under a great deal of pressure, changes, a lot of people moving here in this area to live. It's a wonderful area. And I think many of us here have expressed a concern that we don't want it to change too much. There's different ideas about how we can control that. And I think that we are going to be obligated to be fair to all sides and to try to be prepared to explain to our neighbors and constituents what the difference possibilities are, and to ask them how they feel about this and to bring that into our discussions.
Thank you. Question 3. What do you consider to be the 2 most important issues that the board will review, that the Charter Review Board will address in the coming year? And we will begin with Mr. Bukowski.
Sure. Well, there's a lot of talk about, I think it's the Section 7, the, how to propose an amendment, what percentages of the voting population should be required to propose an amendment. I think it's 10% now. Maybe it used to be 5%, I believe. So that's certainly an issue that will be talked about. I think it's an important issue. If the people are concerned about it, then it's an important issue. Second, most people are probably concerned with developers and all the big development that's happening. There's some of that in the charter, and I'd like to, personally, I'm very much in favor of controlling development. I don't like out of control development without a good plan, without the infrastructure. And that's something I've seen be a problem. I felt it just down the road from me. They bulldozed a nice little area of patch of forest, and I think they're putting up a public storage thing that's going to be really ugly. So things like that, I myself as a constituent am concerned about that. So anything we can do on the charter to help protect, to keep this place from overdevelopment and protect it to be the beautiful place that it is, are important issues in my book.
Ms. Williams?
Yeah, there are several things that have been mentioned. 7.1a, which upped the number to 10%. From that only happened a few years ago. It had been 5% since 1971. We need to go back to 5%. We also need to, there's another thing in there about how it's not supposed to contradict anything that was in the existing charter. Well, that's kind of an oxymoron, because anything that's different, you can argue, is a change and contradicts what was there previously. So that's got to go. also. So that's on 7.1A. Also, the time period to collect signatures needs to be extended like it used to be, longer for less signatures, because if in fact it really is a citizen initiative, it's going to take longer to collect voter signatures. The idea was to make it easier for voters, not harder, to get change. The other thing is 2.2A. That, oops, sorry, I guess I ran out of time on that.
Okay. Mr. Hardin.
Well, I agree with the amendment about going from 5% to 10%. I think most of us seem to be concerned about that. The other thing that I think having to do with development planning, we really need to continue to take advantage of professionals in helping us to be creative about what we do in the future here, making sure that developments are providing amenities along with the housing and commercial businesses, and that those plans be followed when the development starts. We see examples where that's not been true. And I have another example in my neighborhood that Tex mentioned about trees being removed. There's an area near where I live in South Venice that was maybe an acre in front of where the Albertsons store used to be when we first moved here. And there must have been over 30 to 35 lovely small oak trees there that have all been cut down. I have no idea why it was. I'd like to understand what the justification for it was, when we know that things like that really are impacting the environment, and that we can offer our input to try to prevent things like that from happening.
Thank you. I'd like to just remind you that 1 bell means that you have 20 seconds left, and 2 bells means time is up. Okay?
Oh, okay, sorry, I wouldn't have.
That's okay. Ms. Chechi.
Hi. One of the tenets of home rule is that the people get to make the choices about how the county is run, and the things that matter to the bulk of the people in the county. The idea that the state is the only one who can make rules and regulations for everybody in the state of Florida is kind of absurd. We have a large population here, and we have a lot of intelligent people living here. And I think we have a right to be able to speak our mind and not be pushed down by something that's coming from Tallahassee that may or may not have anything to do with our way of life. There's also a big issue with the overdevelopment, and I can't stress that enough. The way the charter is written now, they can sell off large tracts of land. They don't have to ask anybody's permission to do it. They've already given developers lands that were in areas that were supposed to be wildlife protected. There seems to be a big disregard for the effects that all of these things have on our everyday life. And a lot of it is that the public isn't aware. So we need to do a better job of telling them that they do have the power to express their points of view.
Thank you. Mr. Jimenez.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm going to take a slightly different approach with some of my colleagues. 7.1 is really, really important, but I think if we're going to get back to where we need to get back to as citizens, we're going to have to put some teeth in the charter. By that, I mean pulling in a FOIA-style process where when you have transparency in government, how money's being spent, where it's going, the people that are being used, the charter and the people have that ability, they can bring that in and inform everybody about what's going on. The second part of that, and I would also advocate for subpoena power and maybe associated maybe reprimands or penalties. There's some in there already, but this again makes our government responsive to us. In the past, many county officials were scared of the charter. We're scared of the Charter Review Board. Why? Because we called them to task. We have to get back to that. Once we do those couple of things, we'll be able to then take more control of what's happening in development and be able to take control of our destiny. Thank you.
Ms. Forrester.
So I agree with what most people were saying about 7.1A, that we need to decrease the number of the percentage of citizen signatures that we need, as well as decreasing the amount of time, because they were simultaneously increased. Increasing the amount of time because it was simultaneously decreased as as the number of ballot signatures was increased. But beyond that, I really think, in terms of overdevelopment, I believe that we need to, require that, we make it more difficult for the county commissioners to increase land use density and intensity. Right now, it requires a supermajority, but I believe, requiring either a unanimous vote or requiring that goes to the voters of Sarasota County to ensure that land use and density is not increased anymore. That is something that I would like to see. In addition to that, I'd really like to see a concurrency requirement built in, which will require that infrastructure is on pace with new development, to make sure that we are keeping up, infrastructure is kept up with the pace of new development. So those are the main things that I would like to see.
Okay. And Mr. Riley.
Well, I'm currently have attended 3 meetings, so I'm a rookie on the Charter Review Board. We had our recent one this past week. One of the items is 7.1, and I currently take this role very, very seriously as a volunteer. And I think one of the things regarding 7.1, we haven't seen any examples how it's hindered anyone, but I could see how it could with the increase of the 10%. And also I'm, a little sensitive to the citizens that voted that in before. So I think we have to be very careful when doing that, when changing an amendment that was voted on by the citizens of Sarasota County. So that's just something that the whole board needs to keep in mind when doing it. And if it needs to be done, if there's a problem to be solved, then it should be changed. If that's what's needed. The other one, Ms. Johnson, I actually attended the District 3 County Commission debate last night. I did hear the 2 candidates actually bring up the 2050 plan, and they have some concerns about it being abused, and they want to come to the Charter Review Board to possibly propose an amendment to protect the 2050 plan, which is an award-winning plan.
Okay, thank you. Obviously, there's many topics that you're passionate about, and so this next question may be a little redundant, but it will give you the opportunity to express some additional thoughts possibly. If elected, what do you hope to personally accomplish during your tenure with the Charter Review Board? And we will begin with Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, Vilia. One thing I think that we are meeting as a Charter Review Board, and I have to say we, too few times during the year. 3 meetings a year. There's an opportunity given in the bylaws for special meetings as well. This topics need at least 4 meetings a year, once a quarter, and then it gives us special meetings, opportunities with special committees to meet between the meetings to get the work done. For then we can meet at the next board, a Charter Review Board, and try to get some of this work done. That's one of the things that I would definitely push for right away. 2, push for more special meetings, special committee meetings. That's where the work gets done, and properly noticed, we can actually work through a lot of these issues. One of the issues that was proposed by the board earlier was let's review the bylaws, and that hasn't been done. There's a provision in the charter where the commission can change things by ordinance. We should look at that a little more carefully. It makes it easy, it makes a chance to get around the Charter Review Board. It's like once I get in, that's what I'm looking to be able to work with the other fellow committee members to do that. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Chechi.
I agree with my opponent absolutely about the need for more meetings and also about more public input. Um, there, there are some campaigns when there are amendments that are coming up for votes. They do present both sides, but they're not consistent. And I think that to allow the voters a honest explanation of things, not in the legalese terms, but in the common ordinary language that will help them understand the implications of the changes in these amendments. The ballot initiatives are just, they're so important. And I really feel like a lot of people don't put much attention into them. There aren't enough places to go to get that information.
Mr. Harden, could you mute yourself, please? We're getting some feedback. Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Chachi.
I also,
Oh, Ms. Chachi, did you have a chance to finish?
Oh, no, that's all right. You could go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sorry, we were getting some.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Harden.
yes, I feel that the public does not really understand very much about what the reward does, and that we should try to seek ways of helping them to understand what it is that we are able to do, and to encourage them to take part in giving us their ideas about what they think. We all love this place, and we want to try to do the best to make sure that it doesn't change an awful lot in the next 10 years. And I guess, secondly, I see sometimes programs on TV about other communities in other parts of the country that have done extremely creative things, usually providing park areas, plantings in areas that hadn't been planted before. That does a great deal. And I would like to see that we take a look at what else is going on in other parts of the country that might be useful for us, for our planners to be aware of.
Thank you. Mr. Riley.
Thank you. Yeah, if obviously if reelected, I wouldn't be opposed to adding another meeting. I work in higher ed. We have a lot of meetings, so adding another meeting isn't the most exciting thing. But as far as being able to meet the needs and spend time with our citizens to basically listen to their concerns and ideas of possible changes to the charter, and I think I agreed with Jose regarding special committees as well. We have in the last 3 meetings that I've attended, we have a small amount of people, and maybe we need to do a better job as a whole of the county of the Charter Review Board of letting friends and family know and getting the word out and working with organizations like your organization to get the word out more about the meetings. I think just a public notice might not do the trick, but get other people involved. We want them educated. I'm not the smartest one in the room at all, so there's a lot of other experts there that can do the education part with our citizens about the charter and how they can be active within the Charter Review Board. Thank you.
Ms. Forrester?
Yes. So I am a strong proponent of home rule. And so any changes to the charter should strengthen our ability to advocate for and protect ourselves. I mentioned that I believe we need to make it easier for citizen-led initiatives to get on the ballot because the charter was created to be a living document that responds to the needs of local residents. In addition to, I think, requiring impact statements in plain language so that people understand what they're voting on would be helpful. When Section 7.1 was amended, it made it significantly more difficult to amend the charter. And ultimately, limited the ability of the charter to do what it was created to do. And I just don't believe if Sarasota County voters knew that that's what they were voting on, that it would have passed, because this amendment essentially disenfranchises citizen voices. And so for that reason, it should be repealed. Additionally, just the unrestrained overdevelopment Sarasota County has seen in recent years and the flooding we've been experiencing as a result needs to be addressed. My family was personally affected by the flooding in Hurricane Debbie. And I just know that, there needs to be a concurrency requirement added to the charter, which requires that development and infrastructure are built at the same time to ensure that infrastructure needs are on pace with new development. Additionally, I just believe that we need to amend the charter to require a unanimous vote by the county commission in order to increase land use density or intensity, or potentially even require changes in land use density or intensity go before Sarasota County voters, which I've said already.
Thank you. Ms. Williams?
Could you just repeat your question?
Sure. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Okay. If elected, what do you hope to personally accomplish during your tenure with the Charter Review Board?
Definitely to have more citizen input. And again, 22A1. That was one of the things I wanted to talk about before. That was actually amended some years in 2007, 5 years after the 2050 plan, because there were too many inroads against that plan, increasing land use density and intensity. And the idea was, by making it more than a simple majority vote, that it would be harder to have those problems of overdevelopment going on. However, as we've seen, just having a 4-to-1 vote, it doesn't really help. It's over about 90% of all the land in Sarasota County is either developed or saved for being developed. So there's very little land that isn't supposed to be developable at this point. And that is not what the 2050 plan was supposed to be. There was supposed to be big protections against developing east of 75 and so on and so on. So I think we have to have an amendment that specifically says there can no longer be it shouldn't be able to be voted on. Anything that further erodes density or intensity. Doesn't mean you can't have development, but you can have development that is going to increase use intensity or density.
Thank you. Mr. Bukowski.
Sure. So personally, what I'd like to accomplish on the Charter Review Board would be to rein in the developers and rein in the overdevelopment of this area. Even though I moved here from Texas, I grew up in Southern California, and I saw what overdevelopment can do to ruin a place. It was really great. I grew up in Orange County, and it was really a wonderful place when we first moved there. And then by the time we left 20 years later, it was just overcrowded, somewhat polluted. I had to take smog days off from school and so forth. It was just too much, and you felt the pressure constantly, and it ruined a wonderful place. So I've anything I can do to help rein that in here, I think would be a great service for the people of Sarasota County. And that'd be a personal goal of mine.
Thank you. All right, next question. Our Charter Review Board is the only elected county charter review board in Florida. In your view, should it remain an elected board or become an appointed board, and why? And we will begin with Mr. Harden. Okay, I think Mr. Harden fell off. I do not see Mr. Harden, so we will proceed to Ms. Forrester.
Right. So I definitely believe it should remain an elected board. I think we're in a really unique position in Sarasota County that we have it. It's the only county in the state of Florida that has an elected charter review board. And I'm really excited about that because it gives us a unique ability to be responsive to citizen needs as opposed to just being appointed. I think we have enough political appointments in our government currently, and so I'm really excited about the idea that it is an elected position, and I'm excited to hopefully represent Sarasota County.
Thank you. Mr. Riley.
Well, I agree. As we're talking about, we're for the citizens. We're all of service here on this call today. And I think it's up to the citizens to elect who to represent them. So I totally agree with that. And yes, and obviously someone might question, oh, well, you were appointed. Yes, I was, to fill a small gap from December to to basically January, which there's no more meetings anyway. So my last technical meeting was October 16th. I think that was the date. So I do believe that elected for sure for our citizens to make that choice who best represents them. And obviously this is a countywide election and not district. So I think that's a whole other topic. But I agree with Julie and a few others as well. Thank you.
Ms. Chechi.
I do agree that it needs to be elected positions. People need to have a chance to express an interest in the process, for one thing. And also sometimes appointments aren't done for all the best reasons. So sometimes that could just be so that a lot of people are appointed of a like point of view. And I think the election process is the only way you can get people with different points of view that would probably make a difference.
Okay, Mr. Jimenez.
I agree with my colleagues that it has to remain elected. If we're going to be responsive to our voters in Sarasota, that's the only way it's going to be. We've seen in the last couple of years where there have been appointments and we really feel disenfranchised. We feel as though we haven't had a chance to weigh in on that candidate, and that person is affecting 400,000 to 500,000 people in Sarasota County. When I get voted in, or any one of my colleagues get voted in, we got to show up and see our colleagues in Publix or Aldi's, whatever, and they're going to say, "Yeah, I voted for you. What the heck happened to you?" So let's stay elected. That's my position.
Okay. Mr. Bukowski.
Okay, I'll keep it brief. I agree. Elected is the superior way to go here. It's the citizens we work for the citizens, and I think that's the best way.
Ms. Williams.
Well, it looks like we have a lot of bipartisan unity here on this one question. Yes, it should be an elected position, and I would recommend to those other 19 counties that they start electing people too. Enough political cronyism, and let's represent the people of 7, even though it's only 20 counties, it's about 75% of the population of Florida that are in home rule counties with a charter, and therefore electing is the way to go. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Hardin, I will repeat the question. Our Charter Review Board is the only elected county charter review board in Florida. In your view, should it remain an elected board or become an appointed board, and why?
I also think it should be an elected position, if I understand it correctly. I had to move my computer to a different electrical output. I don't know why, but anyway, I missed a little bit. But if I understood it, I think that being elected will make sure that we represent different viewpoints. And if that was the question, I certainly agree with that.
Okay, thank you. All right, next question is, you all have been so all-encompassing that I'm juggling questions here because you're answering in advance. So that's good, that's good. Next question. Ideally, what is the appropriate relationship between the Charter Review Board and County Commission as it relates to modifying the charter? And we will begin with Ms. Williams.
I think the County Commission really needs to be less influential maybe than it has been in some points recently, to the detriment of the charter. Case in point, the public had, not many years after I moved here, the Siesta Key Beach Road issue, where the public overwhelmingly supported keeping those beach public right-of-way areas. And the county commission intervened and wanted to oppose that, the will of the people there, and actually went to court to prevent them not being able to sell off that land. So they got a court decision that allowed them to vacate that, that part of the charter not being upheld, which would have kept the land public instead of selling it off to developers. There's little enough public access on our keys, and we need to stop that kind of heavy-handed interference of the will of the people there.
Okay. Mr. Bukowski?
Yeah, I also feel that the county commissioners have a little bit too much power. I think the power is a little bit out of balance between the Charter Review Board and the county commissioners. So as far as, what is the appropriate relationship? I think just anything that the Charter Review Board can do to kind of claw back a little bit of the power in the county would be smart. I mean, there's 10 of us, or 10 people on the Charter Review Board, and only 5 county commissioners. I think it's, I just like that there's more elected officials on the Charter Review Board, and it seems like the Charter Review Board should have a little bit more say in things. So I would be in favor of anything that could accomplish that.
Mr. Harden? You're muted, Mr. Harden. There you go. Oh, off on. Okay, there you
Yes.
go. Okay.
I'm a little slow on unmuting, but I would think that when you have two organizations that obviously really should be able to work together, that we should encourage a friendly but honest relationship where if we disagree with them, that we have good reasons developed amongst ourselves for that, and that we respect their views, but that we don't, we're not afraid to point out if we think that something is not going in the right direction. So to be have an overview position with the commissioners, and to be very open to why their position is being held, and to ensure that different views are considered and that we do it in a professional way.
Thank you. Ms. Chechi?
I agree with what's been said before. I think there should be better communication between the two bodies. And as was said previously, 2 or 3 meetings a year isn't enough to accomplish what should be done by a review board.
Okay. Mr. Riley?
Hey, they skipped me.
Oh, whoops.
Sorry about that.
I'm sorry.
I'm
My
sorry.
check
Yep.
pen got away from me there. I
No
apologize.
problem. Let me just jump in quickly. I'll make
Please
it
go
quick.
ahead. I apologize.
Not to worry. I
I'm
liken
never
the
paying attention.
Not to worry. I liken the situation to like a corporation. You've got a board and you've got executive management. And right now, executive management has too much say, too much power over the board. The board's job is to oversee what the executive management's doing. They're not going to get involved in the day-to-day operation of what the executive management's doing. So we need to create that relationship again. And that's what was intended originally by our sort of founders of our charter, to get that. And I think once we start making some of those changes, it'll strengthen our oversight ability. And then there are some things that we can learn from the commission as to how to help them do their job better, but they shouldn't be telling us how to do our job. We have a job of oversight. Let's keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Riley?
Well, I agree with a lot of people are saying here, and Tex, yours sound like something from Texas. We're outnumber them. So we just come in there and tell them, hey, there's 10 of us and 5 of you. So you need to listen to us. No, but all seriousness, I think it's about collaboration. My last, like I mentioned earlier, I've attended 3 meetings, haven't had any conversations with any county commissioners. None of them have, I think one attended part of a meeting, but they haven't attended a meeting. I serve on a nonprofit board with a current county commissioner. They haven't said anything to me whatsoever, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. But I think it's about, respect, collaboration, and listening, and working together and listen to their point of views, and then but at the same time, I do agree with Jose that we need to also let them know that we're here and that we're serious about doing our job, even though we get that big old check of zero to do our job. But we're just as passionate as they are.
Thank you. Ms. Forrester?
Yes, so I agree with a lot of what's been said as well. The charter was created to have an oversight role and to sort of be a checks and balance function. Like the citizens can amend the charter review can amend the charter, and then the county commissioners can amend the charter. And I'm just a little concerned about, being too cozy with the county commissioners, and making it easier for them to amend the charter, because my understanding is that, the charter, after single member districts were passed countywide, that was when the county commission amended or proposed the amendment to change the charter to make it more difficult to get citizen-led initiatives on the ballot. And that is a real concern. And that is something, that is one of the reasons that I believe it's really important that we, amend the charter back and repeal 7.1A. So, yes. So I think, having too cozy of a relationship with the county commission kind of erodes the function of the checks and balance that, the charter review board was created for.
Thank you. Our next question. What is the role of the charter as it relates to local environmental protections? And we will begin with Ms. Forrester.
So the charter, it's one of the things that it can do is it can regulate, so I'm a strong believer in planning. I believe in, local people having the knowledge to govern local decisions. And that's why I really am a strong believer in local planning and the 2050 comprehensive plan. And I believe that, the charter was created to, protect the county and to protect the environment from overdevelopment. And so that is one of the reasons that I am a strong proponent for, amending the charter to have stronger environmental protections to stop the county commission from, changing land use density and intensity and just, eroding. I think that there's like 10% left of undeveloped lands in the county, and that is a problem. And that is something that we definitely need to protect. And, like other people have said, Sarasota County is a beautiful place, and I don't want to see it, become, another, overdeveloped, I don't want to talk badly about other places in Florida, but, there's lots of places in Florida that are just not what Sarasota County is. And I would really love to see it stay the beautiful county that it is. And we need to do that by, instilling protections in the charter that can protect Sarasota County.
Thank you. Mr. Riley.
I agree. I'm an outdoorsman. My wife and my family, we spend a lot of time on the water, out in nature. We utilize a lot of the parks here. And like I said, I've been here 30 years. I want my daughter and my great grandchildren, if I ever have any, to be able to enjoy all the amenities that we get to enjoy today, and don't want to see that go away. So whatever we need to do to protect those great resources that we have. I've been serving on the Nathan Menderson Park Conservatory, and that's a gem that we have there right now. which is utilized by this county. You know, I walk it almost 3-4 times a day in the morning at 5:30 in the morning. And so many people utilize the park. So I'm all for preserving our natural resources and our environment.
Thank you. Mr. Hardin.
I certainly agree with the need to do what we can to protect the environment here and to offer opportunities for the citizens to enjoy it as well. My wife and I are originally from California, and we really miss some of the mountains out there, but Florida has its own special beauty. And I'm very involved with the Citizens Climate Lobby, which is a very strong organization to try and do something about climate change, but to be reasonable about recognizing that we're going to have to gradually phase in to different uses of electrical generation. A lot of jobs are going to be affected, and that's going to be a very complicated thing to do. But it would be nice if Sarasota County could be kind of a model for that, using the most informed information on how to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bukowski.
Sure, I definitely think there's a role for the Charter Review Board to help protect the local environment. You know, I might be a Republican, but I do believe in clean air, clean water, clean land. When I go to the beach, I pick up little pieces of trash on the beach, you know. But seriously, I do believe in it very, very much so. I'm an outdoorsman as well. That's one of the big reasons I moved here. One of the big reasons I can't imagine moving away from here. You know, somebody's got to protect the environment. Why shouldn't it be us, the Charter Review Board? That's my feeling on it.
Thank you. Ms. Williams.
Yes, there are both state issues here as well as county issues that are going to affect the environment here. So one, again, that 21A thing, like that whole Neil project that was just approved was approved because they got a 4-to-1 vote. So that was taking and drastically increasing land use intensity and density. We need to change the charter. We need an amendment, and I think there would be a lot of public support for that to prevent any further erosion of the 2050 plan. So that should not have happened. The other big issue, though, is state preemption by the governor. I think what we need to do in that case is there are 20 counties. I think we need to band together with other counties to help prevent some of that preemption, which is exactly really an antithesis of what the whole idea of our county charter was supposed to be. We're supposed to get Tallahassee off of our backs from local things. So I think we need to be able to stand up for better protections for our coast, for example. And the idea is a federal, state law should be greater than protections from the federal, and county should be greater than the state. The state shouldn't be telling the county they can't have those protections.
Thank you. Ms. Chechi?
It looks to me like that amendment, that charter has been amended 20 times since 1971. And it might be helpful to actually look back at the history and find out when these things happened, how they happened, and try to prevent those things from happening again. As Robin said, it's very difficult to find out exactly what the charter said before they were amended. It just says it was amended on such and such a date. And that's all that's required by the law. Those records are in there somewhere. But I think it's important for all of us to try to find out a better way to do this.
Okay. Mr. Jimenez?
I think, as we were talking about before, if we're acting as an oversight board, there's already provision in the Charter 310 that talks about preserving beaches and parks and everything else. We can probably enhance that clause to encompass some of our environmental concerns. we're not going to be able to get too tactical about this with a lot of detail, but maybe it's almost like a vision statement that we actually approve, get the voters to approve. That's going to be our guiding principles for our commissioners and our developers as to what we want to see in Sarasota County. Thank you.
Okay, last question before the closing remarks. Charter Review Board is a partisan position. If elected, how will your party affiliation affect your decision making? And we will begin with Mr. Riley.
Thank you. I like that question. I'm all about be curious, not judgmental. Yes, I'm a registered Republican, but first, I'm a citizen, I'm a father, I'm a husband. I do want to bring up, yes, I was appointed by the governor. I'm not a yes man. I haven't talked to any developers. I haven't received any monies from developers. So I just wanted to be very clear with that. But I'm a citizen first. I live here. I plan on staying here till I fade away. So that's that. Thank you.
Ms. Forrester.
You repeat the question? Sorry.
Sure. Charter Review Board is a partisan position. If elected, how will your party affiliation affect your decision making?
Great, thank you. Yeah, so I mentioned I've been a community organizer for, decades. And, I've had a lot of experience, working across partisan lines, really, working in collaborative manners to get things done, to create change. And so I will definitely channel that energy into this position. And I'm excited to just work, in a collaborative manner to get things done.
Thank you. Mr. Harden.
Yes, I think that even though it is a partisan position, our role should be to try to represent the people that live here and to be sensitive to what their interests are. And I don't think those are interests that are partisan at all. I think look at every issue. I think many of us, even though we may be voting on different parties, we really agree on what is important for us and our families. And so if there's a reason to have a different opinion about what the other party is doing, and we think that our party's views are probably more appropriate, it shouldn't be presented in any partisan way, but just based on factual information and what we know about that particular issue. Thank you.
Ms. Williams?
Well, I think some of the things that citizens, residents of Sarasota, basically across party lines, there's a lot of agreement about concerns about overdevelopment, flooding, and while climate change is not supposed to be mentioned, most people, including all the insurance companies, recognize there's climate change. And we need to be able to use science. Having been a science teacher, using science is very important to me, and the applied technology to deal with the problems that we are going to be facing and to plan accordingly. We need to try to mitigate things, not exacerbate things, and we need to, use those tools to do it. I think, is it partisan to be for, dealing with climate change? I hope we can just bring science into it and leave the politics out of that part. But I'll tell you, as a science teacher, I'm a little concerned because do you know that all the textbooks in Florida now have Florida editions that keep some of this material out of the textbooks? That's not really helping our students meet the challenges that they're facing here in our area. So I hope we can get on with that.
Thank you. Mr. Bukowski.
It is a partisan position, of course. And as a Republican, I think I share a lot of conservative values with fellow Republicans out there. And I think that will affect my decision making. The conservative values, wanting to conserve things. But I do think of myself as an independent Republican. I by no means am I in the pockets of any sort of big special interests. In fact, I despise big special interests, and really feel that my special interest is the people of Sarasota County. Conservative values might persuade some of my decision making, but nothing more than that.
Thank you. Mr. Jimenez?
I think our party affiliation helps bring us all together here. But then once we get on the Charter Review Board together, then we really have to focus on the fact that we're representing everybody. And our values will help us. And so then I come from an area where I believe in smaller government. I believe in less spending. I believe in accountabilities and self-accountability. So if we turn some of those values back to some of our own government, what are you doing to spend less, to reduce the number of employees? What are you doing to hold yourself accountable for not managing some of these programs well? Then together as a board, we'll be able to do a good job. So I think we best bring the best of both parties, and then we serve our citizens. Thank you.
Ms. Chechi?
Very well said, Mr. Jimenez. There are extremisms on both sides. And I think dealing with the issues in a more sensible way, getting to the point of what is the big issue for the public? Not going one way or the other, but going down the middle and agreeing on what's best for everybody, not to play favorites and do something that's going to help the developers or help some other special interest group. So as I agree with you completely, as a board, to be able to come to some conclusions that are agreeable to everybody for the better interest, for the greater good.
Okay, thank you. And now I will invite you to make any closing remarks that you would like to make. We will begin with Mr. Bukowski.
Okay, thank you so much for hosting this forum. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed hearing from my Democrat colleagues here. I think there were a lot of good ideas. There's a lot of smart people on this call, and I learned a lot, really. So thank you so much. I'm Greg Tex Bukowski, running for Charter Review Board District 4. I'd be honored to get anyone's vote out there, and I'm really looking forward to representing the people and protecting this very special Sarasota County that we all love.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
I'd like to ask for your vote humbly and hope, that I can use my background to help us come up with creative solutions to deal with the really monumental problems that we're going to be facing in the years ahead. I have grandchildren. I want them to have a future and a sustainable place to live. And, we're facing some real serious problems. I think if we really creatively try to problem solve and put our, kids in the future first, I think we can, come up with some good solutions. My slate, we're committed not to take any money from developers. And I hope I can, I'd be very humbled by your vote on election day. And again, our priorities are putting back for the charter, people having some empowerment there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hardin.
Yes, I was taken by Robin's comment about her children, and I have children and grandchildren. And I think that we have an obligation to do what we can to make decisions about our community development and our environment that takes them into mind. And I'm sad to see that I don't think that we're doing that very well in some places, but I have the greatest respect for everybody that's here today. I've enjoyed have an opportunity, which we don't usually get, to have people from different parties talking to each other. And I think that all of the opinions I've heard, I think were expressed very well. And I have to say, I agreed with everything I've heard here today. It's been a real pleasure.
Ms. Chechi.
Participating has been a great honor for me. I'm very impressed with all of the candidates. I'm sure everybody here will do the very best they can, no matter how the election goes. If it does not go in my favor, I will certainly be finding other ways to help the community and to work towards some of the things that we've discussed tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, Ms. Chechi. First of all, thanks everybody for being here, and thanks to the League of Women Voters for pulling this together. This has been one of the best forums I've seen in many, many years. So I've had fun and I've enjoyed meeting everybody. Second of all, one of the things that we're going to need as a board when we all come together in a couple of weeks is our ability to influence other people in other groups, whether it's state legislators, whether it's people on the commission. And believe it or not, we've only been here 3.5 years, but my family, my daughter, my wife, and I have actually were successful in passing a grooming bill in Florida. We learned that in the past year, and we got it done, and we met a lot of people, and we realized how important it is to create those relationships, how to lobby different groups to get to where we need to be. I believe that I bring a lot of those skills with me, along with my legal skills, to the board, and I'm hoping to put forth and make myself available as a resource for everybody. So I hope I get your vote, Jose Jimenez 665, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Forrester.
Yes, thank you so much for putting on this forum. And, I'm just really excited to, use my education and my experience. I have a lot of experience working, like I said, across party lines, just really doing a lot of collaboration work, a lot of relationship building. That's what community organizers do, is, relationship building to get things done and to create change. I'm excited to work to protect our right to local self-governance and ensure that Sarasota's planning policies are not sidestepped by developers. I believe that we need to restore the power of our home rule charter and create a more empowered model of community governance, and I'm excited to do that. My priorities are, to empower residents to make it easier for citizens to get a referendum on the ballot or update the charter, to stop county commission overreach, to make it more difficult for commissioners to approve mega developments, to protect Sarasota from overdevelopment by requiring that development and adequate infrastructure are built at the same time, and then to stop state legislative overreach and to develop stronger protections on the state legislature so we can protect Sarasota residents, as our home rule charter was created to do. And I will work to restore the intent of our original home rule charter, which was to empower the people of this county to make changes in their own government. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Riley.
Thank you. First off, thank you very much. And Ms. Johnson, thank you for moderating this evening. And hats off to, I think, round of applause for all of us, I think, for stepping up and serving. Not everyone does it. Someone has to do it. And obviously everyone on this call today is about service. And, I want to continue for the last 29 years. Like I said, I've lived here and served on over 20 different boards and organizations, whether it be civic, nonprofit, very passionate volunteer. I have the support of my family. I didn't step up and say, hey, I'm going to do this. One more board, what's another board? I think I'm on 5 right now. And I have a day job. So, but it's all about the citizens. I love working here. I love living here and working here. And I look forward to working with everyone going forward. I was not scared away attending 3 meetings that I've already attended. So I did decide to throw my hat in the ring and continue and hope to be elected and serve you well. And just to let you know, I'm also endorsed by my mother-in-law. So I think that speaks volumes. And also the Suncoast firefighters as well. and very passionate. Been working with them for over 25 years. So thank you very much. Thank you for your time, and a pleasure meeting all of you.
Thank you. We extend our genuine thanks to the candidates for joining us tonight, and also to the League of Women Voter Volunteers who helped all of our forums be produced. You can find all of our forums for the last couple of months on our website at www.lwvsrq.org to find links to our YouTube channel that will have the forums. Voters, now is your moment. Please vote by mail, in early voting, or on election day at the polls. Your vote is your voice, and it matters. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.